Welcome to Globewatch with me, Charles Ebune, aired today from the Charles de Gaulle Foundation here in Paris, France. Just ahead of me is the headquarters of the Socialist Party, the party of President Francois Hollande. I have come here today at the Charles de Gaulle Foundation to meet one of the most important personalities of French contemporary politics. My guest today is the former French Minister for Cooperation, who equally heads two associations, France Volontaire and the Charles de Gaulle Foundation. So, what insight does he have of humanitarian work in the world today, the Charles de Gaulle Foundation, and what is his ideas about French politics today? Join me in discovering my guest. Jacques Godfrain, welcome to Globewatch.
Thank you very much.
You left the French government.
Yes.
Probably you ended public service in 2008.
Yes.
And when you left public service, you decided to involve in humanitarian work activities.
Yeah.
Why that choice?
Why? Because when you are Minister of Cooperation, it's for all your life. Of course, among the government is for 2 years. But your head, all you think in the life, it's your life to be in the humanitarian. And my friendship with Africa was before I was minister and now after.
It's humanitarian work a childhood experience or a family background issue for you?
Yes, family background,
How?
of course. Because, for example, my father was veterinary, and he created with the government of Senegal the school of veterinary in Dakar, for example. And I work in French Airlines named UTA, would serve Africa. So I work. I have a character toward Africa, and I like that Africans go toward France. You see, it's not only north toward south. No, it's also south toward north.
When you were Minister of Cooperation between 1995 and 1997, was it by chance or it was just a natural progression of history? Because you say that cooperation is a livelihood affair. So when you were Minister of Cooperation, you just say, okay, God, this is what I've been looking for in life and it has fell on me.
Oh, there are many reasons. There were many other political persons who want to be Minister of Cooperation. But President Jacques Chirac knew through what said Jacques Foccart at that time. Jacques Chirac knows that I like Africa and I have excellent reports with many persons in Africa. And he knew too I was with him in great proximity. So when you have the confidence with the President of the Republic, it's more easy to work in the minister.
You are today heading France Volontaire.
Yeah.
Tell us about that association. How did it come about and what does it do?
Yes, you see, there are many French girls and boys who want to spend 2 or 3 years of their life for development in the world. But among these thousands of French youngs, we have to regard, to see what are the best. So my organization choose the best to go help for development in the world and in Africa, of course.
You used to be the president of Franco-Gabonese associations, I mean, all those associations which you have been heading, did they help you to lead France Volontaire?
Yes, I was, when I was parliamentary.
When you are at the National Assembly?
At the National Assembly. I was a president of some of these relationship groups. And it was a pleasure to receive parliamentaries of these countries, from Cameroon, for example, from Gabon, from Ivory Coast, for example, you see. So all of my mind is for these relations between countries of Africa and France.
You just mentioned the Côte d'Ivoire.
Yeah.
Years back, you declared in Côte d'Ivoire that gone are the days when Côte d'Ivoire should wait for France to give, that it is an equal partnership today.
Yes, of
is
course.
that how French cooperation should be seen across the world today?
Yes, we have to be in equal reports between Côte d'Ivoire, Cameroon, and other countries.
So you admit that before now, the relationship between Côte d'Ivoire or France and Cameroon were not equal, and you guys want to make them equal?
We have to be equal. We need of Africa. Yes, in the north, France need of Africa.
Why should France need Africa?
Because you have a philosophy, you have a life, you know many things we don't know. So you have to give us...
When you make such a statement, an ordinary African on the street consider that you want to exploit their natural resources.
It's a mistake. I have to say to Africans, Cameroonese, for example, that in France we hear what you say. Your comportment is very interesting sometimes. In social problem, for example, for the old persons, for example. And many other problems, you have a manner to see the world, to see the life, very interesting for us.
Okay. You are heading France Volontaire. What has the association achieved concretely? This is something that started about 6 years ago. If my statistics are not wrong, this association was created in 2009.
Yes. You see, at the moment of the independence...
What have you done concretely with France Volontaire in Côte d'Ivoire, in Mali, in Niger?
So there's so many youngs who want to be in the development processes. How they can be useful in what we name in French état de droit.
A state of law.
Yes. How to build decentralization with office of the town, with department, with region. How to create sanitary groups and so on. And in agriculture, for example, it's very interesting to have a common work between Cameroonese and French.
Okay. When you were Minister of Cooperation, between 1995 to 1997, what are the main issues you were treating, which were recurrent on your table? Quels étaient les sujets les plus importants en tant que ministre de la coopération que vous gériez à l'époque?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Education, health, all both.
Okay.
And other problems, agricultural development, etc. But education for youngs and health for everybody.
Let's talk about the Charles de Gaulle Foundation, which you are president or board chairman today, since 18 January 2011. This is, you and I are inside the hall where Charles de Gaulle was chairing meetings. Tell me about this hall.
In 1946, Charles de Gaulle bought, after the war, bought this building. and he put here in the floors the center of the French party named RPF, you see. And in 1958, when he became president of the French Republic, he lived here.
The Fifth French Republic.
Yes.
La Cinquième République.
Cinquième République,
Yes.
exactly.
Go on.
Yeah, he go on, and he was in Élysée. But he don't return here. But he gave this building to an institute after a foundation named Charles de Gaulle Foundation for many persons who want to read some reports and books about this job. We organize here, for example, in this room, many meetings between historians, between philosophers, and so on. And we have we help one African student each year for a study, you see.
Okay. How do you feel sitting on a chair that one of France's most respected personalities,
Yeah.
Charles de Gaulle, sat?
Yeah.
What is your feeling?
Oh, it's very simple. One day, I asked two young men and women who were in Colombey-les-Deux-Églises, his village. They were very many, and I asked them, why are you there? And they answered by two words, authority and integrity. Integrity. You see, Charles de Gaulle died not rich at all. All his mind was for the service of France, peace, and the world.
You just said that Charles de Gaulle's work was for peace and service of France. When you look at the current generation of French politicians, are they out of that track?
There are many French politicians. Each has his quality.
When you look people like Nicolas Sarkozy, François Hollande, Alain Juppé, you can call all the names of contemporary French politics, François Copé. When you look at all of them, Martine Aubry and others, Dominique Strauss-Kahn, do you think that they are fairly representing
For me,
the lifestyle and the ideals of Charles de Gaulle for France today?
For me, they are elected. The first quality of a politician is to be elected first. And if they are not perfect today, I hope that in the future they will be perfect, you see. I never, je ne désespère jamais, voilà.
Okay, so what is the Charles de Gaulle Foundation doing today to help young French people, men and women? What is the Charles de Gaulle Foundation doing in terms of education, in terms of knowing the history of France and in encouraging this culture of peace across the world?
Yes, of course, because Charles de Gaulle has had three words. Entente, in French.
Understanding.
Détente and cooperation. And when you practice those three words, you arrive to peace. For many subjects, it was he think like that with Russian, for example, with China. Nobody want in 56 want to speak with China. He was the first because he thought that
the future of the world was going to be China.
Yeah.
So it was like a visionary.
Yes, exactly.
Politician.
He told that so great country we cannot be blind with the importance of China, for example. And when you speak with a country, small or great, you prepare peace.
When you were Minister of Cooperation, which region of the world presented more of a problem to you?
Oh, the development in Cambodia, in Far East.
Why?
Why? Oh, because it was the relationship between Khmer Rouge and population of Cambodia were horrible. And when you speak with the first and with the second, there is a wall between them. It's very difficult.
Mr. Minister, you had so many associations. Charles de Gaulle Foundation, France Volontaire. You are involved in other activities. How do you manage your time?
Oh, I don't sleep too much. First, and yeah, there are many moments during the day where you have nothing to do. When you drive your car, for example, when you work in the street, when I am in the campaign, at home, and at that time you have to think. At each moment you think. Charles de Gaulle was like that. When he walked on Sunday in Colombey-des-Églises, in the forest near Colombey, I think he worked in his mind. So
people like you have lives which spread beyond political, economic, and social boundaries or lines. Which part of your life do you enjoy most? Being a politician, an economist by training, or a humanitarian worker?
All them, because there are relations between these aspects of my jobs in the past. If I was a minister, it's because I was in humanitarian problem before, in French Airlines. If I am now in Charles de Gaulle, it's because I work in ministry. So it's a global experience, you see.
A global experience. Let me ask you a question which has to do with what is happening in the world today, particularly conflicts.
Yeah.
What is the role of a Minister of Cooperation in conflict prevention and management?
It's a real problem. We have to see in the future when you are in the cooperation, and we have to say to the governments of the world, look in the future. For example, in Africa, where the conflicts, if Africa had in 50 years 80% of its population near the sea and inside nobody, it will be very violent on the coast, you see. And we have to work between to make peace and to develop inside of Africa by agricultural, you see.
Okay.
For example, because Africa, she be angry. She will be angry. They have to eat.
You were surely so close to former President Jacques Chirac.
Yeah.
The Central African Republic is in a very difficult situation, and it has always been for most French governments. Why do you think that the Central African Republic is constantly under very, very difficult situations? One Central African Republic politician, if I'm not mistaken, Bokassa, said that la France et la République centrafricaine, ce sont Charles de Gaulle, c'est mon grand frère.
Oui.
Why should your brother be suffering all that much all the time and you are living in peace?
Please repeat. It's very important what you say.
One Central African
Yeah.
politician
No,
said that France
yes.
that Charles de Gaulle is his senior brother.
Yeah.
And when you look at Central African Republic, it is always in turmoil. Why should a senior brother be at peace?
Senior
where
brother? What is senior brother?
senior brother, grand frère.
Grand frère. Huh?
Grand frère. Why should a senior brother be at peace and the younger one in perpetual conflict and so on?
It's very simple. We are brothers of Africans, and Africans are our brother. What do you say between you, my brother?
My point is this. Why do you think that the Central African Republic is in constant turmoil and insecurity?
I don't know. Perhaps you observe that in the world, when you have petroleum, when you have diamonds, when you have many things, very expensive, many persons want to take that. Perhaps it is the reason.
Okay, so you seem to say that the conflict in the Central African Republic is not a religious-based one, as the media has projected it. It's a matter of petrol and
No,
diamond.
there are no petrol, but there are other things. There are many. For example, there are wars in the world, in Middle East, for example, or in North Africa, because some persons have beasts, have goat, have cows, and they want these cows drink in a river. But this river, it don't belong to them.
Okay.
It's the beginning of a war.
Mr. Minister, let us conclude this interview very shortly. How do you manage your day as a former French cabinet minister on a daily basis? How do you live? How do you live on a daily basis? Now you have time for yourself. How does your day look like?
I have time. Not too much. But when you leave your minister, you have to make peace with the minister of after. You have to see him and to give him all you know. After he do what he want, but you have to give all what you make, and if you want to do the same thing, he can. If you want to do other thing, he can too. So voilà.
You know Cameroon so well, right?
Yeah, a little, yes.
A little.
Yeah, not sufficient.
Not enough.
Not enough, of course.
Let me ask you a question about security concerns in Cameroon today. I'm sure that you are reading the papers, following the television, and listening to the radio. I want to ask you a question about the security situation in the north of Cameroon today. Do you think that the Cameroonian administration, Paul Biya, whom I'm sure you know so well and you have met in audiences, declared the war on Boko Haram here in Paris, France, and said that it will be eradicated? Do we have the means to do that?
I think that if all the countries of Africa, among them, of course, Cameroon, want to be very solidaire, it will be peace. Not only Cameroon in front of Boko Haram, but Africans have to be hand in hand in this fight, you see. And I think it's the word of President Biya. We are Cameroon, of course, but we work with all your neighbors.
Finally, what message do you have to the world?
To the
what
world.
message, as the president of France Volantaire, as the president of the Charles de Gaulle Foundation, these are institutions aiming to promote understanding, multiculturalism, development across the world. What message do you have to the world?
To the Africans, my friends, you are great people, and the new century will be a century of peace if Africans can build peace among them, with us, and I think that the world has to wait a great Africa, very peaceful, and all the world will be peaceful.
The president of the Charles de Gaulle Foundation, former French Minister for Cooperation, Jacques Godfrain, thanks very much for accepting our invitation on Globewatch.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And good luck.